Karakia, mai te pai maunga, raro ki te tai mai te awa taonga, raro ki te awa ki. Tēnei te hapuri awhia I e tāra tahi, whanu hara mai te toki, homie, uruie, awa. Are there any apologies? No, there's not. We got a full house today.
Perhaps.
Oh, yeah, Marama, she's standing apology. Someone would like to move that Marama's apology be accepted. Thank you, Councillor Cherry Campbell, seconded by Deputy Mayor. All in favour? Against? Motion carried. Thank you. Conflicts of interest, are there any? Yes, we all pay rates. We should all leave now. Okay. We should all leave. Up early. Been up early, firing on 6 since 4:30. No conflicts of interest noted. Public forum, there has not been one. Any youth council views? None.
Oh, he found a better offer. Sarah's taken this on.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay, so item 6 on the agenda, reports. There being one, 6.1, statement of proposal, draft revenue and financing policy. Jerry. Please.
Oh, tēnā koutou katoa.
Kelly.
I'm actually going to hand over to Kelly as to present the report, and we've also got Rhonda online for questions relating specifically to the content, isn't it?
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming in today for this extraordinary meeting. It does mean that we can kind of hit some key milestones in the timeline we have planned, so I appreciate you all making the time to be here. So this report and the attachments, it's around the review of our revenue and financing policy. We complete that every 3 years as part of our towards the long-term plan, and also referred to often as a rating review. So you will recall we've had several workshops over the year as we look at different aspects of the rating and how it works. This part is around how we divide up the rates amongst different types of ratepayers rather than looking at the actual budgets themselves and the levels of rates, which we will be doing later on. So you had asked myself and Rhonda to model some changes in terms of the way we currently rate, and we have done that, included that in the statement of proposal, which will be going out for public consultation early next week for a month, and then we will receive the submissions, hearings and final deliberations on whether the changes are made or not. I'm happy to take questions from there. I'll take the report as read. As you know, some of it's quite technical, some of it, and we have put quite a lot of work into going through, and hopefully we've tried to take out some of the technical language in the attachments and in the proposal, but still keeping the substance of it, given there are a lot of legislative requirements around it as well. So, yeah.
Kelly. Round table. Are there any questions? Great. Grace, Councillor Ayling, please. Thank you.
Kelly, in the past when we've done rating reviews, what kind of number of submissions would we expect to see in these kinds of meetings that we'll be holding?
I'm not sure, sorry, specifically for rating reviews. It does vary in terms of the different consultations we do, annual plans. And sometimes we get only very few submissions, and sometimes we get a whole lot, like with the speed review, but I can't probably speak specifically to the last rating reviews.
And with the substance of this one, are we expecting we'll get a lot of feedback?
I think we will. We are, as well as putting the documents on our website, we're also advertising in the Times Age, including the Thursday's Times Age that includes the rural section. We have planned Facebook posts and social media, as well as 2 public meetings, one at the Event Centre and one at the Gladstone complex as well, to give members of the community a chance to come and hear a bit more about it and also ask their questions of elected members. So the plan is to get a lot of feedback. We want a lot of feedback. We want to know what the community thinks. Some of the changes are relatively minor, and some of them do have more of an impact on certain ratepayers. So we're definitely hoping for a good level of feedback.
Just one other question with the public meetings, both starting at 6:30. As someone who used to commute on the train, I'm just thinking some people don't get into that 7 p.m. train. Is that a fixed time, or could we start it at 5 minutes past 7 and assume that there'll be some people on the train who'd like to get to the consultation too?
Yeah, I think we were trying to at least get the first trains.
Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of balancing with getting the commuters, but not making it so late that there's certain people in the community that don't want to come out that late. So, I mean, we have booked in those times, but we could look at changing.
Yeah, please.
Ron actually rang me because my husband commutes 5 days a week, and asked our advice. The first train is the most popular and the busiest. The latter two definitely have less numbers on it. And also with the amount of publicity and promotion of it,
They can make sure they come early that night.
will make an, if they really want to be here, they will make an effort to get that earlier train or maybe work from home. And I think, we'd spoken about comms going out on the Wairarapa commuters page. Mix offered too, if there's any sort of one pages, hand them out on the train and stuff like that too. So that was, and also if we're only having the meeting, then there are people in the community that's starting it at 7 o'clock. We'll find a lot of them won't turn up.
And I think, Grace, one of the things I might do is just get some one pages off comms and stand down on the platform and hand them out myself. And you're welcome to join me. I would sort of say, answer to a couple of questions. With rates reviews, always expect the worst. And if it comes in better, be grateful for that, because they can get very tense and emotional. Been there, done it. This one's not as big. That one was, changing the whole structure upon which the rating system was based, going from land value to capital value, which was quite a fundamental shift. That certainly, I can assure you, generated some very heated response and submissions, and it was well attended. This one's got some minor tweaks and some fundamental shifts as well. So it'll be interesting to see what the mix is. But as you know from campaigning, rates will be your biggest issue that you face, bar everything, bar nothing else. I mean, that'll be it. And so if people come out of the woodwork, it'll be on this issue. If they don't, then better prepared is far better, all of us, than not being prepared. And at the end of the day, it's a consultation. We're here to hear and to take note, and then come back and based on that, deliberate, and then make our final call as the council. And I think that's always useful to keep that in our head, because this is a proposal for open discussion. And, take it from there. Would you want to bring Rhonda on?
Yeah.
At all?
Bronda, would you have anything to add? I suppose your experience with rates reviews and maybe levels of submissions or anything like that?
Just to echo what Ron has said, Mayor has said that yes, they can get quite heated. You do tend to hear from the people who are affected negatively rather than positively. So really it's around trying to make sure that we get views from across the community, which is always very helpful. In the end, council needs to make the decision around what they deem to be appropriate. And that's probably, we're trying to go out and get the consultation from the community, and we really are hoping that we actually hear from the community around that. That's probably one of the biggest parts, is that we hear from across the board, which sometimes is pretty hard to do.
Thank you, Bronte. Any other questions? No? No, not me. Yes. No, the comments? Councillor Cherry-Campbell.
Yeah, I just had a question on page 13 of the electronic. So the proposal summary, just questioning the first column down the bottom, talking about we will consult with the public on our LT budgets in mid-2024. Bearing in mind mid-2024 is around June, which is when we're adopting it. Just wondering whether we actually ought to sort of
Make that a little bit clearer.
Make it a little bit more clear, because if people are thinking you're adopting in June, so March is kind of not mid. So that was just one thing I Just wanted to question whether that can be.
Sure. I just have a comment. I'm happy to.
Yeah.
Proposal when it comes to a vote. I have some concerns about allocation of the commercial rate, particularly to the lower value properties, which effectively is the high street. It is one of the biggest problems we have as a community is the look of the high street. And so I take your point that it is a consultation, and I expect that we will get some comments around that. And I would just hope that we take them into account.
Good.
Thank you. Yeah, I suppose, like His Worship, been through a few of these, and I guess the key point is this discussion is not around how much rates we raise. It's around how it's distributed. So the work that the council, we've all done, and staff in the last few months has been around the appropriation and the fairness or transparency of how it's shared out amongst the ratepayers. And when I go down through the list, even though in some cases, you know, we're all ratepayers of Carterton District, and some of us are negatively impacted by some of the changes proposed. But again, when I look down through the list, it makes, you know, it's keeping up with the changes in our community and our the progress that we want to see across our district. So yeah, I'm supportive of the proposal. As His Worship said, there's forms in the back there that ask the specific questions from the public, and we really want to hear from the public on what they think. Not just rates are too high, because that's a separate conversation, but around the fairness of the proposals that we're putting out there for the public. Thank you.
And I'd just like to reinforce that comment from the Deputy Mayor. The question around rates being too high will always be there, and it may start to cloud what it is we're trying to set down here is the policy around how we rate. The other side of the equation is how much you're rating for, which is expenditure. It's the thing that will get people that'll get people asking questions is not just about how much rates they're going to pay, but how that's structured, how it's appropriated. But it will always come back down to that total dollar figure, and that's how much we're spending. And there's always going to be that tension, and that's where we get the second, third shot at it. The LTP, the annual plan, are a reflection of what we intend spending. And it may well be that that's where you make changes as well. But that's a separate conversation. This is just around, looking to Kelly for help, the structure and the form against which we actually raise revenue.
Yeah,
Is that correct?
it's not how big the pie is, it's how it's.
Oh, it's sliced, that's right.
Yeah. How big the pie is and how small the pie is, we'll deal with that next. Councillor Gallen.
Yeah, I sort of look, like there's inflation and expectation from ratepayers, which is all raising costs. Right, I also looked at a few of these, and I was quite surprised. I thought there might have been a few more grizzles coming out of there, but I was quite surprised. It looked pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, facts. Trying to keep people to facts, and that's so heavily dependent upon the comms team. I think that for the work they've done thus far, which is huge. We've got to acknowledge that, because it's how we get that message across and how we generate that level of understanding, so we get informed conversation, which it's a sensitive issue, and we've got to be prepared for the emotion that will come with it. Sometimes when the facts become clearer, the emotion subsides. But that's the challenge ahead. Yeah. Councillor Critney, Councillor Della.
I just wanted to comment, Kelly, just on the statement of proposal document. I think I don't know who's had the input into some of the diagrams and all that sort of things. And I think that is going to help dramatically with the engagement that we get. So whoever's put all that together, I think it's fantastic. So well done to the team.
I think I'll mention our brilliant comms team and Bronda particularly as a team been working really hard on this. So thank you.
Yeah, it looks really good, and I think we're going to get a lot of engagement out of it.
Thank you. Councillor Della.
Thank you. Mayor, yeah, I'd quite happy with the way it's set out and everything, and it is, when you look at it, the more you look at it, it becomes more self-explanatory. But the main concern I have is for the rural ratepayers with the UAGC going on all the houses that one property owns, and if you look back at the tables, it reflects in some rating increases pretty high for the people that have got more than one dwelling, and as well as the 0.8 going from 0.8 to 1. I expect a lot of engagement from the rural sector, which is good, I think, and it gives everybody a chance. Meeting at Gladstone is important, and just hopefully that we get the input from the rural sector, and we listen to it at the end.
Are we all good?
Can I make a comment?
Councillor Nguyen.
Following up on probably what Rhonda said about when we go out trying to hear from the different voices, I think, say the rural sector, they've got groups that will help them speak up and have loud voices. I'm just a little bit concerned how we're going to try and get those non-existent or very quiet voices who don't often partake in consultation. I don't think they'll come to a public meeting. I just don't know if we're going to be doing enough to get those people to engage who don't normally engage. And I don't have a solution for it, but I just don't know if the public meetings are the right format for those people.
That's also out.
It's only one part of it. It's only 2 public meetings. The rest of it's by digital. Comms, would you like to comment how we're doing that?
Yes, so we will go out pretty hard on social media, and we'll do separate posts for each of the different key changes as well. So I've already got a plan around that. We did also talk about doing a sausage sizzle at New World, so I still intend on doing that. I just haven't booked it yet because the focus was on the document and booking the meetings.
Yeah.
But we can still do that where you can hand out those one-page flyers and try and encourage those people to engage. Yeah, otherwise, we can see if there are community groups that are having meetings like Lions or Rotary, or I don't know, if you wanted to go to any meetings like those, I could find out when they're on, and then you can see if you can take us off along and have a chat with them.
Okay.
Thanks, Lisa. And I'm inclined to lean in that same space, Councillor Nguyen, because I do know Māori, Pacifica, low-income New Zealanders rarely ever make submissions. They tend to be, from all of my experience, lumped up with submissions of social group entities who might seek to represent that socioeconomic group, but those socioeconomic really good. The educated, the informed, the active, the employed, who particularly those who work in government departments or work in, corporates, they are the people who go online and do written submissions and that. But you're quite right, engaging is important, and how you do that, you can only try your very, very best. I think so far, looking at the material that's been produced and having a bit of an insight as to how much work's gone into this already, I think there's a high level of confidence we can possibly have at this point in time. But I think, take your point clearly, that we need to keep a watch and be on standby to tweak and adjust as we go if we think it's necessary. And if you're getting a sense that there's an area that we're not hitting, I'd expect you to raise that, and then we have a conversation as to how we might tweak or adjust within the period that we've set down. But it's a valid point. And the elderly in particular, they don't make submissions. Except if you're an elderly retired CEO of a government department, you probably will. Yeah.
I'd like to do similar to what we did in the speed review, which was quite successful in the terms of the amount of submissions we got on that balance. So on social media, we did quite a few different scenarios about why people should submit, even if they're happy with the changes, and that helped get a bit more balance across the board, and we were getting submissions that we wouldn't normally get. So I was going to try and put together some scenarios like that in regards to the rates review as well, just to try and get across the board. We can also look at emailing the schools to see if they can include some blurb in their newsletter as well, because that might get picked up I mean, we're going pretty across the board with being in the Crier, the Midweek and the Times Age rural paper. But hitting the school newsletters might just get a few more eyes over it.
Have you read it? Tell us what you think. That's got to be the message all out there everywhere we go. I think we're pretty cool. We're done.
Sorry, just to reiterate, the timeline for submissions closes 2nd of November.
November.
So that's really,
Open Monday, this coming Monday, 2nd of October and through to 2nd of November, will be the official period.
thank you.
All leave cancelled. Joking. All right, let's, if we are good, if everyone's clear, all right, taking the recommendations. Firstly, we'd like someone to move to receive the report. Councillor Newman, second by Councillor Lawrence. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion's carried. Second, the recommendation that we adopt the statement of proposal on draft revenue financing policy and appendix for consultation. Someone to move, please. I'm happy to move that if you wish. And Councillor Cretney, seconding. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Motion's carried. That's the last item on the agenda. You can do a closing cut of care for me.
I can,
Thank you.
Kia tau, kia tātou katoa, te atu whai o tu tātou ariki. Ihu karaiti, me te araha o te atua, me te whiwhi nātanga ki te wairua tapu, aki.
Amen. Kia ora, thank you. Meeting is officially, thank you, Bronda.
Thanks, Bronda.
Thank you. Team, thanks for all of the work that you put into this so far. I know it's been a gravel road to walk down with bare feet, but we've only just started.